at you. Good Tuesday morning, everybody. Welcome once again to BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Yes, back in studio, the man is here. Bradley Hallman joins us today. And, man, it's good to have somebody in studio, Brad.
I've been watching you. Been sitting here solo for so long. I was like, man, I got to get home.
I know. Good show today. We are, for all those rodeo fans, we are going to check in with Matthew here later in the show after the top of the hour, see how his Vegas trip is going, get his take on this little thing right here that I got in my in basket. Big announcement yesterday. There was a conference call with a lot of the FLW anglers, and we'll get into that here in a minute. But we're also going to have a special guest this morning. After our first break, we're going to have Nick Salvucci, your friend, the man that got it done on Lake Mead, over $164,000 in earnings when you throw in the $100,000 and then the brand new Bass Cat. So he's got to be pretty fired up. He's going to be driving this morning. So we're going to give him a call and kind of get his thoughts. You know, I was talking about how tough it was this year. And obviously you fished it. And I want to get your take on it just a little bit. But in the 8 years that we've been doing the live coverage and the live weigh-in and have been at the U.S. Open, I could not recall an event that was more stingy, more difficult, and more importantly, no wind. That was crazy not to have any wind all 3 days.
Yeah, we got the fan turned off on us. The fan turned off, and it made such a huge difference on that pond. When we arrived there, it was very obvious pretty quick that thing was not as far along as it was in years past. And what I mean by as far along, like the transition to the fall transition where a lot of those fish are really starting to push shallow, didn't seem to be as many and not the quality.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you turn off the generator, and it got very stingy very quickly.
9 pounds was a massive limit during that event. And for Nick to go the final day, only had 4 fish, but he had one really, really good one. And then another, 2-3 pounder to go with it. And then he had a couple of runts, but did not have a 5 fish limit, but got it done. And I could not recall on the final day that there was only one limit over the past 8 years, only one limit over 10 pounds on the final day.
Wow.
That says a lot right there.
Well, I was shocked when I did see that one guy with the bag. You know, they reweighed it twice, and I didn't see it go in the basket at first, and then when they pulled it back out, it looked like, after you've been looking at those small bags all week, it looked like a 20-pound bag.
What's that like, Bradley? Seriously, when you're grinding it out, when you're catching, you know, 1.5 pound fish over and over, and then they put the link limit at 13 and not 12, even though 12 is the legal limit, but they have their reasons for doing that. Anyway, when you continue to catch those small fish, and you do hook up with a 2-pounder, because one thing that I did hear a lot this year at the U.S. Open, how many times that some bigger fish came unbuttoned. Did that happen to you? Did you hook up and lose anything? But there was quite the chatter about how many fish were being lost that they just wouldn't stay buttoned up. But these are 1.5 pound, 2-pound fish. That was a huge fish in this event.
I can tell you, after catching them all week, if you see a 3-pounder on the end of your line, it looks like a 6 or 7. You know, the water's so clear, and your eyes, and I mean, when you set the hook on a 14-incher, it feels like a good one. You're like, this one's going to keep.
Yeah.
I mean, and you know it instantly. Like, it feels like a big one.
A lot of boats, too. What was the boat traffic like?
You know,
was it crowded at all?
It was, but we had 254 boats in the event.
Yeah.
And Lake Mead's a massive, massive lake. But it does have a potential, you know, a tendency to fish small in certain areas.
Yeah.
And those areas got very crowded. But you know, it wasn't anything out of the norm.
Yeah. What was the celebration like on Sunday night?
Celebration was quite nice.
I'm sure it was.
We'll get into that after we talk to Nick.
In Las Vegas, I'm sure it was. All right, I want to address one thing real quick, Bradley. I did not talk to you about this, but I very rarely, seldom will respond to comments that are on our YouTube replay.
Yep.
And yesterday, for some reason, there was a post on there that really caught my eye, and I responded. And we went back and forth and back and forth. And a lot of times I just respond on the show to some of the comments that are sent in to us or that are posted on the YouTube thing. But look, I do want to respond on the show and then move on to this one particular situation. I or Matt in no way, no manner have any biasness toward anybody. We try to report the news and try to give our opinion on what is taking place in the bass fishing world with total non-biasness and no agendas. I mean, we just don't. We have nothing. I think over the years, people have learned that I'm a very opinionated person. And do we have friends that are fishing bass? Do we have friends that work at bass? Do we have friends that fish Major League Fishing? Do we have friends that work at Major League Fishing?
We have friends that own it at Major League Fishing.
Yes.
I mean, we've got it all.
But I have been tough on all organizations,
Right.
on all companies. If there is something that they need to be held accountable for, we bring it up and we talk about it. And we're going to talk about this. All right? But for somebody to say that we have sold out or were bought by one of the organizations is ludicrous.
I agree.
All right? But I appreciate you at least taking the time to voice your opinion, and that's kind of what this show is about. And that's why I love the Sunline Hotline shows so much, is because, everybody doesn't agree with my opinion, and that's good. That's okay, because I'm not right 100% of the time. Not even close to being right 100% of the time. But I think what builds this show is the fact that Matt and I have opinions about what is taking place in what I refer to as the swimming pool, compared to everything else out there being the ocean.
Right.
We are in the swimming pool.
Definitely.
So, the show yesterday and some of the comments that we had and opinions, hey, we found a lot of support for a lot of the things that we said yesterday. But for us to be considered being overwhelmed or purchased or whatever you want to call it by one of the organizations is ludicrous. It's crazy.
We're not going to sit here and throw, slurs of unjust things that are rumors. I mean, that's not what we're going to do.
We've never done that. If there's a rumor out there, we might slightly mention it, but we're not going to base an opinion on a rumor.
Right.
We wait till the facts come out. All right. And the facts came out yesterday on a conference call that you were on, Bradley.
That's right.
And there is a PDF, that's what it is, a PDF file that is about 20 pages. I don't know how long it is, that basically explains everything that was discussed on this conference call yesterday. And I'm going to tell you right now, Bradley, it's not a bad deal.
It's not a bad deal. It's a good deal.
It's not a bad deal. And I'm going to go back to the one word that has been mentioned multiple times on this show: competition. It is now a competition. And I think that Major League Fishing stepped up. And one of the biggest things that I noticed in this 20-page document was you guys all 4 days are going to be fishing for 5 fish. They're not going to do the hybrid format that was discussed when Mr. Duckett was on the show.
Yep.
Right? Remember, he said, it's a good way to prepare these guys for the 10 anglers that are going to be fishing the BPT and blah, blah, blah. No. Now it's going to be like it has been for years. You guys are going to be fishing 5 fish each day, 4 days, and then obviously the top 10 from the points over 2 years, I believe is what it is the first time, that you're going to get an opportunity to fish on the BPT, and then that is when your game might have to change.
Yep. I believe the championship format, instead of having a cup, they're going to have a FLW Tour Championship, which will roll 50 guys instead of 42. So there's more guys being involved in that, and it will just be tour level anglers involved in that event. I do believe that has some MLF format style in it.
In the championship.
Yeah. But that's it.
That's it.
The 7 qualifying events are 5 biggest fish, 4 days.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm here to tell you, folks, the competition is there. All right, they had thrown out what they're going to do for a feeder system, and it's a pretty doggone good feeder system.
It is. There's going to be a little hang up in the beginning, just because, like what you said, the first one's going to be a 2-year program, and that's because of the 3-year contracts that those guys signed last year that joined MLF, and so they have 2 years left on their contracts before they have room to replace 10 and push 10 out. So in 2022, would that be right? 2020 and 2021 will be the qualifying 2 tour years combined, total AOY points to come up with those top 10.
There you have it. So I put the link out there if anybody wants to look at the PDF. Please don't do it during the show. Well, I guess you can, because when we have Matt on, we're kind of going to go through it a little bit. But solid feeder system, very similar to any other professional individual sport where they have, single A, double A, triple A, and then once you earn the based upon your performance a spot in one of those top 10 positions, now you're in the big leagues. Mm-hmm. You made it to the BPT, and major props for creating a system that makes sense. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
It makes sense.
It does.
So I think now Bass is going to have to take a look at what they're doing. Obviously, they've made some announcements based upon their opens. Are they going to improve anything next year? Is it too late to do anything next year? Is the same basic model going to continue to work? Because I think everybody out there would admit they have had an enormously successful season in 2019. Do they look to bring back the weekend series? Do they look to make the nation even bigger than what it is? It's kind of been neglected a little bit. Do they set up, and maybe they don't even want to do that. Maybe they just want to be status quo. Who knows? But the bottom line is this, Bradley: decisions are going to be made by the anglers. The anglers are going to decide after they look at this PDF and they start to break down what opportunities are there for everybody. Now decisions are going to be made. Okay, do I fish bass or do I fish FLW? I don't know, obviously, because of a scheduling conflict. I don't know if you're going to be able to do both. Those days may have went away. Now, with the expansion of the 8 Costa divisions, and pretty interesting, you're going to have like a Southwestern, they're going to have a Western, they're going to have a Plains. I mean, they're going to have 8 divisions plus an international division. You might be able to cross over and maybe fish the opens and fish the Costas, and then create, if this is what you want to do, create an opportunity to where you're fishing to try and make it professionally at a level of which you would be able to obtain true sponsorship.
Yeah.
So we'll see. All right, we're going to take a break and come back with Nick Salvucci. And where'd the trophy go Saturday night, man? Or Sunday night?
Oh, it came back to the house.
Did he drink out of it?
He had a bunch of jerseys in it. He was collecting jerseys. We'll have to ask him about that.
He was what?
Yeah, collecting jerseys of guys that he had pommeled that week.
What?
There was some B-Height, A-Mart. He had some jerseys he collected. He bought a house up at Clear Lake that he's gonna build a little showcase, kind of like what you've got here.
Oh yeah.
Yep. To go along.
And he was nabbing jerseys, huh?
Yeah, he was nabbing jerseys.
That's pretty funny. All right, we're gonna take a break. Come back with a man that got it done at the U.S. Open this year, Nick Salvucci. Be right back.
Serious about catching fish, that HDS is a dead giveaway. You've got the best fish finding sonar money can buy. Time to build the ultimate fish finding system with live sight sonar. See what your lure is doing in real time. Watch fish strike as it happens. See for yourself. Take the LiveSight Sonar 30-day challenge. If LiveSight Sonar doesn't help you find and catch more fish, send it back, no questions asked.
Gamakatsu, the G Finesse series.
In my opinion, the G Finesse series is the only lineup of hooks you need for any fishing you do.
But I know a lot of guys haven't used this hook yet. G Finesse series has the nano coat on the hooks. The nano coating makes the hooks sharper, smoother for a better hookup ratio. 20% stronger than black nickel. Wow, that is incredible. That's a lot of strength.
My Gamakatsu G Finesse series, perfect finesse fishing for you.
Check out the G Finesse series of hooks by Gamakatsu.
Guys, Gerald Swindle, Sunline Pro Staff. If you're a flipper, a slackline hook setter, you're really putting a lot of impact into your hook set, look for the shooter. It comes off the smooth, really smooth. Like when you're flipping, it is smooth. If you're gonna be drop shotting and cranking, Sniper's the deal, man. It seems like it's a little bit less likely, like on a sharp hook set, it doesn't seem like it likes it as much. But for coming off the spool on spinning rod, leaders, cranking, like if I'm gonna throw a big plug at Guntersville, I've still got strong tensile strength. It's not gonna give out on me, but yet the line's thin enough it'll get down. So to me, shooter takes a hook set, Sniper's for everything else. So if you're gonna slack line them, go shooter.
The name SPRO says it all. SPRO stands for Sports Professionals. When you look at the pro staff that SPRO has brought on board over the past 15 years, it's been pretty incredible. I mean, one got it just then. From the development of the rock crawler to the McStick, from the Fat Papa to the Little John series, when you tie a SPRO bait on, you know it's been designed by a professional to get the job done.
Blue Water by TH Marine, offering LED lighting solutions for your boat, trailer, truck, ATV, and so much more. Engineered and built to be rugged with waterproof and submersible options. Designed for easy installation, Blue Water is available in a variety of colors and styles. All backed by a limited lifetime warranty. Blue Water by TH Marine.
At Duckett Fishing, we have assembled the top pros in the country to help us design rods to give you a competitive advantage. Castability, strength, durability, action, sensitivity, weight and balance, and consistency. Combine that with the best warranty in the industry, and you have rods that are pro-driven.
Duckett Fishing, pro-driven.
Hey guys, Cliff Perch here with AFCO. I've got the new camo hooded reaper. It's going to be a great thing both for fishing and hunting this fall. I can tell you a couple of the features about it. Got the face mask like all the reapers do, vented in front. It's got the fleece on the inside, so it's really comfortable. It's super warm. When you come down to the pocket, it's got this little snap system called Block Tapey, and it's silent. You know, it doesn't make that sound that other snaps and other systems that hook it together make. Great for hunting, and it's going to keep that stuff in your pocket.
I got my power pole down, stuck in the mud in the bottom of the lake, sitting so still in the wind and the waves, could even be a hurricane. I got my power pole down.
Oh, my God.
All right, we are back on a Tuesday. Bradley Hallman in studio.
This guy we're bringing in was catching giants last week, Mark. Giants. I'm looking at the
pounders.
Yeah, they look like monsters. 435, I believe, was his big bass on the last day. That's a giant.
It is a giant.
It
All right,
was.
let's bring him in. Nick, you there, man?
Yes, sir. I am here.
All right, man. First question right out of the batch right here. I want to know, did you drink out of the cup on Sunday night?
Not yet, but it's I got that in the works.
You know, it's like you hear stories about people, guys that win the Stanley Cup, they're all drinking out of the cup and all that and everything. I thought for sure you might pop open a barley pop and throw it in there and drink out of the cup. So, never mind. Sorry about that.
Yeah, definitely. It's on the back of my mind. It's something I want to do. I just haven't got to it yet.
All right. For people out there that may not realize it, this was only your third year to fish the U.S. Open. In 2017, you finished, I believe, 5th. Last year, you finished 2nd. And then this year, you win the thing. Dude, why so much success at the U.S. Open? I want to know why.
I don't know. It's hard to explain. I've been asked that quite a bit. I mean, it's the 4th time I've ever been to the lake. 2017 was the first time I've been there. I was in there in September for a Wild West championship, and that was in September. And then I fished the U.S. Open in 2017 in October. And I don't know. It's hard to explain. I guess that lake just fits me that time of year. You've seen it in the past where other guys just succeed at a lake, and it just fits me. So I just feel like I know what the fish are doing that time of year and where the bigger fish are. And I'm a grinder by nature, anyways, and I fish for 5 bites. That's kind of my tournament or my style, anyways, on how I tournament fish. I don't go for the numbers, and I fish to win.
All right, now, a lot of rumblings during the weigh-ins just from people that I overheard talking about. A lot of fish came unbuttoned. And so many times for somebody to win, especially a tough event like the U.S. Open, you have to have perfect execution. I'm curious, did you have perfect execution? Did you lose anything? I know you only had 4 fish on the final day. What was your execution like during the week?
On the final day, I started in a spot. I was boat 1 out, and they changed that for the format this year, where the leader gets to be boat 1 out and last boat in. And I started on a spot the day before. I caught that little over 11 pounds fairly quickly in the first couple hours, and I started on that spot and nothing. And there was kind of a front side and a back side to this spot, and I fished the front side for an hour and a half, and then I went to the back side of this spot and I made my pass, and I had 4 bites and didn't land any, and I ended up breaking like a 2-pounder off in that during that. I was flipping, I had a bite and I missed it, and then like 5 minutes later I had a little loop in my line, so I flipped out to clear my line, and I'm reeling in my flip bait back, and I'm in shallow, fairly shallow water, probably 3 foot of water, and I look behind my bait, and there's like a 2-pounder tracking my bait all the way in. And I'm about 5 feet from the boat, and I just killed my bait, and that 2-pounder just smoked it. And I was pretty excited because I hadn't had a fish yet, and I gave it the gas on the hook set, and I just snapped that fish off. So that's pretty much the only fish I lost all week. And I didn't let it get to me. I've lost fish before, and when I won in 2017 at the Wild West, I only came in with 4 fish the first day, and I lost some good fish that day. So I just that bothered me in that tournament, but I kind of learned to just shake that stuff off and don't even think about it.
This was something that Nick and I talked a little bit about after he'd won again, but this is his 4th time there, and for the listeners that are not really seeing what's happening there, he has 2 first places. He has a 2nd place and a 5th place, and he doesn't live there. I mean, it's not like he lives in the desert. Nick lives in California, and Pangrack and I were talking about it. I was like, man, it's like some of the really special anglers on tour through the years that have this really special, unique relationship with lakes, like Kevin Van Dam at Kentucky Lake. We see that. Scott Martin at Champlain, where it just keeps, no matter how the lake unrolls, those guys are able to always be at the top. And for some reason, Nick has definitely got that type of relationship at Lake Mead. Is it your favorite lake in the country?
No, Clear Lake is. I told Hallman this. I ended up buying a house in Clear Lake last year, so I was fortunate enough to win. I won a boat up at Clear Lake this June, so that help cover the house payments for the year.
Dude, you're turning into a boat dealer. The number of boats that you've won over the last few years, how many have you won?
Since 2017, I've won 3. So I have 4 boats right now. So if you got any listeners out looking to buy some boats, I got some for sale.
Wow.
Tell us the story about, tell everybody the story about when Bill Egan told you that you needed to pull the boat away from the casino at 11 o'clock at night, and you're a few hundred miles away from home, and what you had to go through to get the boats home.
Yeah, I didn't really realize you had to tow the boat home. When they did the awards in front, and we all went outside, Hallman and Littner and McClellan and Dusty, and all of us went outside to go take a few photos next to the boat. And he's like, "All right, this got to be gone by noon tomorrow." I'm like, "What?" And I live. It took me 8 hours. So I brought a co-angler with me, and we were already going to get a U-Haul in the morning anyways to tow Littner's boat back because he was going back east for an MLS Cup event, and so that was already planned, and we already had a U-Haul reserved. So I just went with Jared's wife, Carrie, in the morning to go pick up a second U-Haul. So I grabbed a second U-Haul. I got some good photos. Me and my buddy Kyle Greenlaw, we did a convoy home with 2 U-Hauls. It ended up taking me like 8 hours in that thing. They don't tow too good. They're a little gutless because it's 300 something mile drive home for me. So I got home Thursday night. So it was a fun trip, but I would have rather been driving my Denali home than that U-Haul.
All right, you mentioned something that took place this year, and I believe it was the first time that this situation has occurred in the U.S. Open, where after 2 days, the leader goes out first. Actually, I think it was the top 20. Mm-hmm. The top 20 after 2 days go out first, but they're also the last ones to check in. And I can't recall any other tournament organization doing that. I think it is just an outstanding idea because you earned that extra time on the water. Obviously, it paid off, but what are your thoughts on that, Nick?
I like it. You mentioned 2017 was the first year I did that, and I was up in the top 10 or something going in the final day. I think how they did that day is last place went out first, and first went out last, but you got to fish the latest. Well, when I got to the areas we've been fishing, there was a lot of boats. There was a lot of boats this tournament, regardless. 255 boats on the water. You got to keep a positive attitude and just not let that bother you. I put my hood on and just kind of went for it. But I like that. I think they need to stay with that, or they need to do some sort of cut on the final day. Maybe the top 51, and everybody that's going to check gets to fish the final day. But this worked out. I did like that.
All right, now
I thought Billy Egan did a good job on putting that into place.
Oh, absolutely. I thought it was a great move, and kudos to Billy for implementing that type of format. It made for a lot of drama, too. This was the 8th year that we did the live coverage and everything. I cannot recall a bigger crowd at the weigh-in than what we had this year. I know you've only fished it for 3 years, but the crowds each day were just outstanding.
My favorite person in the crowd was Hallman. He was more excited that I won than I was.
He was standing there doing some press stuff with different media people after he had won, and it was just like quiet silence. And I'm like, God, the guy just won $160,000, and I kind of lost control there for a little bit and got on a hell yeah Stone Cold Steve Austin screaming deal. But dude, super proud of him. Glad he was in the house. We had a great week. The house that we stayed in are all guys. Nick and I met last year, and he invited me and said, hey man, you really got to come stay with us next year. And all the guys on the West Coast and me and Mike McClellan actually rode out there together, and we all stayed in the house with Littner and Dusty and a lot of his really good friends, Ken Maw, and it was a really, really special week. All
right, man. On the instant feedback, a number of people want to know, so many people think of Mead as kind of dink and dunk and finesse, and I don't think you tell us and the fans, what is your style? Was it power fishing? What did you do, and what baits did you use to win this thing?
Yeah, primarily my style is just power fishing. I made it 3 days without getting the spinning rod out, and up until the last 10 minutes of the tournament. I ran back. I gave myself a little bit of time because I figured I might have had a shot. I figured I had 8 pounds the last day for 4 fish. I ended up having almost 10. And I got back to the weigh-in about 10 minutes early. And I gave my co-angler a spinning rod earlier in the day to throw, and I asked for it back, and that was the first cast I made with a spinning rod the entire tournament. But yeah, just primarily, just flipping and a lot of moving baits. Whether it be top water or subsurface baits, just whatever I felt suited the conditions, suited for me to throw, and like I said, just kind of grind it out. I'm not going out there getting 15, 20 bites in a day. I'm getting very few bites. It's just grinding it out.
Stained water?
Both. I fish clear water too. It all depends on the cover. Looking for grass with bait mixed in. Just any type of cover that I think it will hold a big fish. And obviously, if there's bait around, there's usually some big fish around.
Hey, can you talk about what you caught the big fish on the final day, the 4-pounder?
I caught that on top water.
All right.
Bradley? It's a special place, man. It's like, and to listen to him talk about it at night when he comes in, he just goes out with so much confidence. In the mornings he rolls out and he's like, good morning, gets his stuff, and he's gone. The guy's definitely dialed in on the place.
This is kind of a weird question, but with you having so much experience on Clear Lake, is there anything that you do at Clear Lake from a technique standpoint, from a pattern standpoint? Is there anything that you duplicate or take with you when you go to Lake Mead that actually helps you on that body of water?
That's a tough question. I have to think about that. I don't think anything like duplicate. It's they're two different types of water. Obviously a long ways apart. They're 10 hours apart. Just confidence, I guess. I've been fishing. Me and Littner have been fishing Clear Lake for like 20 years, and I just got a lot of confidence in that lake, and I've had my butt kicked on that lake plenty of times. But I have confidence and know where the big ones live there, and I feel like I know where the bigger fish live and meet at that time of year. I've never been any other time of year except September and October, but I feel like I know where they live that time of year at Lake Mead.
Would it be safe to say that you're not a spinning rod guy at any point in any lake? You really prefer not to use it?
No, yeah, it's safe to say that. Don't get me wrong. I don't use one. I've won the team tournaments with a spinning rod when I'm forced to, but it's very rarely. I think I own 3 spinning rods, and they don't come out very much.
Yeah.
All right. Since we have you on, I'm curious, how is Clear Lake right now?
Clear Lake's good. They did a lot of spraying over the last few years, and there was kind of a little bit of downturn. But this year, it's really making a comeback. I believe I fished it quite a bit this year, and there was one over 16 caught this year, multiples over 13 that were caught this year, and there's always been this 4-pound class of fish in that lake that you just go out and you catch 20 pounds, and that class kind of disappeared a little bit. But I noticed this year there's a tremendous there's a 3-pound class of fish in that lake, and next year there'll probably be 4-pound class, and so it's really on the upswing. They just need to stop spraying a little bit. I used to really like that offshore grass. That's a flatter lake, and you find a lot of offshore grass where you're 500 yards off the bank and it's 8 foot of water, and it's you just go through with a big weight and flip that or chatterbait, or when that grass starts dying off. I'm actually going to head up there. There's a lake an hour and a half from Clear Lake, and I've never been to it. It's Lake Berryessa, and me and Jared got a TOC tournament for a boat up there beginning of November. So we're actually going to go stay at my house, and we'll travel down to this Lake Berryessa to practice, and then we're going to figure out what we'll do for the tournament. But Clear Lake's healthy, and then Berryessa, all my buddies at Clear Lake that fish Berryessa, they said they'd rather fish Berryessa than Clear Lake.
Wow.
I guess any cast you got a chance of catching your personal best, spotted bass, smallmouth, or largemouth.
Wow.
So looking forward to that. It's very rare. I get to go to a body of water that I haven't fished in California. This is one of them. So I'm getting kind of excited. I started tying up some stuff last night.
Are you a swim bait guy?
I am. I'm everything. I'm a tackle junkie. If you saw my garage, I got my Clear Lake garage and my garage at home here in Tascadero. I got baits for days, and I'm not the most organized person, but I have a lot of big swim baits. But yes, I do enjoy throwing swim baits. Not so much tournament fishing. I mean, it's just a different style, different mindset. I mean, I'll have one tied on a tournament. If I got a decent limit, I'll throw it. But I do enjoy just going out and chucking a big swim bait and going for that 1 or 2 bites a day. But if you hook it, it'll be a big one.
All right. A couple people want to know, what's your full-time occupation, Nick?
So I'm a chief operating officer for a utility contractor, and I'm also a shareholder. So I've been with this company for 21 years. And when I started, we were 3 employees. We're 275 employees now. So we primarily do install power lines overhead and underground for PG&E, and then we do some other stuff, fiber stuff for some private fiber companies, but mainly that. So I enjoy it. I mean, it's fun helping build a company from pretty much the ground up. So the company's called MGE. So it's a good company to work for.
Very cool. All right, man. Who's better? Who gets the front of the boat, you or Littner?
Littner's better. That guy's good. He's got it. He's got a talent. He could. I mean, you can see. Look at him this year in MLS.
Yeah.
He's always had this talent where, I mean, just being able to find fish. That guy is good. He finds fish. He catches them. So, I mean, I think I've told this story. I did a different radio show, or somewhere I told this story. I was 14 years old, and my brother used to read the newspapers a lot. My brother's a couple years older than me, and there was this fishing tournament. And we had this Bayliner fish and ski boat, and an old beater. And he said, "Hey, let's go fish this tournament." It was at Lopez Lake, and that's actually Jared's home lake. It's 10 minutes from his house. So I'm 14 years old. We go down. It's an ABA tournament. There's 50 boats. We didn't even know what options were. We didn't even get in the options. And we go out and fish, and we get 3rd place, and we're all pumped up. And I don't know why 4th place was so happy with us coming up and thanking us, because they got all our option money. And that's when I met Jared. He actually won the tournament, big old tall guy with a mustache. And so I met Jared and kind of fished against him for probably 5 years. And then, I mean, when I was about 20, me and him teamed up, and I mean, we've been fishing team tournaments, me and him, for a long time, for 19, 20 years. And then when he made the elites first year, he made the classic. He used to be allowed to pre-fish with people, and me and him, we hopped in a car in 2007 when he made the classic at Lay Lake, and we drove back there, stopped, and he was sponsored by Skeeter then, and picked up his boat at the Skeeter factory, and we didn't know and that the boats weren't broken in, so I had a buddy in Texas. We stopped there and broke the boat in and rigged it up, and we went to Lay Lake and pre-fished for the classic, and his wife Carrie was actually her flight got delayed, so I actually got to be Jared's date to the classic dinner that night, and then I flew home. So
wow.
So yeah, he's got some skills.
Well, Nick, we really appreciate you coming on with us this morning, and congratulations on the probably the largest purse ever given, the richest purse ever given away in the U.S. Open. Mark, would that be correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the trophy at now?
It's at my house in Atascadero. When I go up to Clear Lake, I kind of got all my fishing stuff, and I've been collecting. Right now I got a jersey frame, and I got a Littner's jersey up at my Clear Lake house, trying to make it a fishing house. And Hallman gave me one of his jerseys, and actually got one of B. Heights and Aaron Martin's and Mike McCombs. So got to order some more jersey frames and finish that fishing house up there, and put that trophy up there, and be all good. Hopefully one day I could add another one to it.
Very nice. All right, Nick, man, best of luck to you. Thanks for taking time out, and great job at Lake Mead.
All right, appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on.
All right, man.
Thank you, man.
See you. All right, I didn't ask him this, Bradley, but do you think you've spent some time around him? Do you think he has any desire or possesses the ability to fish one of the national tours?
Well, there's no doubt he possesses the ability.
Yeah.
That's without question.
It sounds like he's got a good gig going with his job, though,
and he's really into it. Nick's young. He's younger than Jared and I. I don't know how much younger, but I heard Jared's wife talking about it, that she was actually a little taken back by how young he is. So he's got some time. Landscape's changing daily, as we learned yesterday with the PDFs, and who knows. I do think that there's probably a desire there for him, yes. I can't imagine him competing at such a high level that he doesn't.
Maybe fish the Western Costas or whatever?
Yeah, something, you know.
And see?
Yep.
Obviously, if they have one at Lake Mead, he needs to fish it. Good grief with his record on that body water. All right, I'm going to get Matthew dialed up here, and we're going to check in with him.
Panger.
I don't think his girlfriend had a race last night. I think it's tonight.
So
today.
Matthew's out in Las Vegas. He went right after we left. He basically drove out there with.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, and he's flying back. That's right. Yeah.
Can they get the horses on the plane to come back?
No. Matthew, you're on the air, man. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Good. Really good interview with Nick, man. He kind of opened up a little bit.
I listened to it. He makes it seem so easy.
Doesn't he?
He's like, no, man, I just go out and power fish and beat everybody by 4 pounds. Don't even have a limit on the last day. Break off a 2-pounder. But, man, I get Lake Mead. I understand it.
It's all easy.
Wow. All right. Did you get a chance to look at the press release and look at that PDF on some of the changes that are coming and how the feeder system's going to work?
Yeah, I actually probably looked at it for about an hour last night before I went to bed. I saw that. First of all, right off the gate, one of your favorite words, Mark, is transparency. So the fact that this PDF came out with what they shared with the FLW pro circuit anglers, I think is great that they had this out the day after the conference call.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the biggest things that I noticed we touched on earlier in the show is that it is not a hybrid format. It's a 5-fish format.
Right, and when we had Duckett on, it was obviously the hybrid where it was the 3 days. You know, when we had him on last week, it was 2 days full field, 75 days on the third field, then 3 days of the MLF format. But he also highlighted on how they would let the anglers decide on what they wanted to fish for. So obviously he got a lot of feedback that was not the route that the majority of the guys wanted to go for. So 4 days, catch 5, really hammered home the premier 5-fish limit deal. Okay, there's something that's bothering me, though, about this whole thing, like, oh, now there's a clear path, and then they have this clear path. Like, dude, there's always been a clear path. It's not like some muddy water where it's like a mystery how Brad got on the FLW Tour or the Bassmaster Elite Series back in the day. I mean, there's been casting kids, high school, college, Federation, Opens, Elite Series, or high school, college, BFL's Costa FLW Tour. This isn't like some groundbreaking new path where I'm like, oh, now I clearly see how to turn pro. Like, it's always been there. There's just an additional step now.
Well, I think it was more of an adjective rather than saying that it was some of this, just never before seen on TV or something like that.
Yeah.
No, it's just an adjective describing what the qualifications are and what the feeder system is. I don't think they were trying to. I think you're reading maybe a little bit more into it.
Part of it is that when MLF came out last year and formed, and they had that group of 80 guys, they said from the beginning, we're going to have a feeder system of this. And we have all been asking that question. Like 4 or 5 months ago, it was very difficult to even see where that feeder system would come from.
Yeah.
And so now it's here.
It's clear.
It's clear.
I'm really interested in, I did not see in the PDF anything about the TBF. Did you?
Did not.
The PDF is strictly driven for the FLW Tour.
Yeah. So who knows? And remember, the TBF was not part of FLW. They were just contracted with FLW.
Right. I just was wondering if there's anything in there about how that their relationship with the TBF would continue or not. But I thought it was a great PowerPoint slide presentation PDF that really laid out and seemed very simple to understand and follow and say, okay, this is how it's going to be for the next 2 years.
I agree. I thought it was a very transparent and laid out, just like
clear,
very clear.
Yes.
All right. Not to deviate, but I'm dying to know: did the girlfriend run a race yet?
No, it's today.
Today. What time?
So last night she got her back numbers last night, which is like the number that you pin on your shirt while you run, so they know who you are.
Okay.
So she runs at around noon, so it's 7:20 here. So yeah, we're gonna have to get the horse loaded up, and then it's like actually there's stalls, and you can drive your truck and rig and all that underneath there, and it's literally like underneath the casino at South Point. It's pretty cool.
All right, Bradley, I just real quick, and we've discussed this whole thing for the entire show this morning, but just what is your initial gut reaction after that conference call? I mean, what are your thoughts on this whole thing?
That things are very close and similar for the FLW Tour guys to what they were last year. It's not a major change. Boyd pointed out the three things that were really different. And all three of those are not major deals. One is the cup disappearing, but with the way that the money's transferred and stuff, it's about $100,000 less to fish for the championship. I mean, it's really not that big a difference like what you would think it would be.
Yeah.
Some of the sponsor locations on jerseys and stuff is going to be a little bit of a change for some of those guys, and myself included, and then $5,000 more in entry fees.
Yeah.
And those are the three, really things that are different. Other than that, they've worked very hard to make things look very similar for the guys on the FLW Tour. For sure.
All right. Matt, let me ask you this, man. I say the word a lot, and I'm really kind of harping on what Boyd said. This is a competitive environment now. Do you think that Bass does anything? And I'll throw out an example. Do you think they work on trying to bring back the weekend series? Or is it just going to be status quo for Bass? What are your thoughts?
I've said from day one that I think the move for Bass is to get back in the Bass Nation, to put more resources towards the Bass Nation, and to create a congruent kind of level qualifying system across the country for Bass Nation. Create a payback structure for that. I mean, you got some states that are qualifying with one weekend a year and there's no payback. You got other states that have 5 or 6 tournaments and 3 or 4 different ways to qualify. I mean, Oklahoma is 4 one-dayers. Now we have paybacks. I mean, you've got guys who are qualifying out of the front and the back. Now, I understand logistically, based on, how some states are laid out, like a California or something, like that's a big investment based on how big that state is. But I think a standardized qualifying procedure with a guaranteed payback structure would really give Bass an opportunity to compete for those BFL and Costa anglers who are maybe open to fishing Bassmaster events now, and then really highlighting the anglers who have had success through the Bass Nation or the Federation Nation back in the day, the Paul Muellers, the Caleb Summeralls, guys who are on the Elite Series who literally would not be in the fishing game were it not for the Bass Nation. Instead of trying to bring back a weekend series, why not just pump up that Bass Nation and try to turn it into what it was before the split back in, the early 2000s, late 90s?
Yeah, it's a good point. Good point. But it is definitely a competitive environment, and it's no secret the payback on the Opens is not that great. There is opportunity there, obviously, to qualify for the Elite Series, but the payback, when you look at the ratios and the amount of money that people are competing for on the Opens, that may be something that they need to take a look at also, Matt.
Right, I understand now. I also think, if you're fishing the Open strictly for a payback or to make money, you can't do that. If you're going to take the commitment to fish all 8 Opens, it has to be a process and a means to an end to where you use the money that you win during the Opens, assuming you don't pop one and win one, You take the money you use, and then that goes right back into your expenses with the goal of qualifying for the Elite Series at the end of the year, which, I mean, Bass did make changes. They still only have the 2 open divisions, but you also have to remember they did add an option where you can fish all 8 opens, the Easterns and the Centrals. Then they take your points from the top 6 finishes, and the top 4 or 5 out of that will also get onto the Elite Series. So you don't just necessarily have to fish the Centrals or the Easterns. You can fish all 8 now. So there is a third option there, and I'll be very interested to see how many familiar names from the FLW Pro Circuit, past maybe Elite Series anglers, are going to try to take that route and fish all 8 instead of just 4 in the division, because that gives you a little bit of wiggle room. You know, we've seen guys who have had 3 good ones and then tank on the final one or tank on the third one, and
Absolutely.
they got to wait another year. Now you've got a little bit of wiggle room, but your expense is compounded.
All right, Bradley, increase in entry fees for this new format and everything is $5,000.
That's right.
Was it positioned last night on the conference call that, look, we're going to give you more opportunities to generate sponsorship to where, based upon the media exposure that we have planned for you, as long as you catch them, that's the big thing.
Right.
All right.
Well, the media exposure it's more than what it was.
Yeah. So
there
we're
is that
giving you.
opportunity. That's correct.
Yeah, we're going to give you that opportunity to make up that additional $5,000.
right.
Now, let me ask you this, Matthew. The one thing that really is an indication of these are new times, that it's not entitlement in reserving a spot. It is now you got to earn it. Agreed, Matthew? Based upon performance. Bottom line is just because you've been in this business or been a professional angler for 30 years does not mean that you're going to have a spot in the BPT. You have to catch them. Everything is based upon performance and how you perform. Now, they could throw something in there like a sponsorship exemption or something like that if there's somebody that they want in the field, but that's way down the road. And based upon the way that they explained it, hey, it's all about performance. Agreed?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like if Van Dam sucks in the next 2 years and is in that bottom 10, he'll be down in the FLW Pro Circuit, and the 10 guys will move up, and now you have a fluid deal where every year you'll have 10 guys moving down and 10 guys moving up. Now, you remember, like, if you're losing 10 guys out of 80, that's like 15% of your field.
Yeah.
That's like over 10% of your field. I mean, that's a pretty substantial turnover that you're going to see every single year on the BPT. But I understand what MLF is going for with that the purchase of FLW and then the development of this pro circuit, because if you can actually, I guess, fall out of the BPT and then still make a living on the FLW pro circuit, to where, you know, now, like, I mean, if you fall out of the Elite Series, like, you kind of like disappear. Have you noticed that? Like,
yeah.
There's a number of guys, like, if you think about it, I mean, I could name you 20 guys that fished the Elite Series, had a couple bum years, were out of it, and you're like, I mean, you could do like a whole series on where the hell is this guy?
Yeah.
Because they just kind of disappear. Now I think what they're saying is it's maybe a little bit of a safety net, and I hate to use that term because there's so many top caliber anglers that are on the FLW tour right now, but it's kind of a safety net to where you can have a couple off years. You're going to get dinged for it because you're going to move down to that FLW pro circuit, but you're still going to have a place where you can fish for $100,000 and have the TV and media exposure. So, like, I understand that element of it.
All right, think about this situation, both of you guys. You're in a position to get knocked out because you're not performing well on the BPT. All right, if you get knocked down to the FLW pro circuit, now all of a sudden you got to come up with $50,000 or whatever that number is.
Yeah.
And you didn't perform on the BPT, and so many sponsorships are tied into performing that what do you do? All right, I'm kind of in that, 65 to 68 range in the points. I could drop down to 80. Oh, no, all of a sudden I'm in 81st place with 2 events remaining. Now what am I going to do?
71st.
Or yeah, whatever.
71st.
71st, sorry. Whatever happens now, I might have to come up with $50,000 in entry fees if I want to keep this thing going. And how difficult is it going to be to continue your sponsorship saying, "Oh yeah, man, I just got dropped down to AAA."
I don't know. It's 40. It's $40,000, and it's not 50. So, but we're talking about right now today,
Yeah.
right? I mean, everything's moving and
Yeah.
change and flux. But
That's a tough situation.
all those guys that we're talking about right now have all been there and paid that. But I agree, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
But like you said, the process of weeding out has to happen.
I agree.
It has to happen.
It's all about performance now.
It is.
And you know what? If you get called up in AAA ball and you go to the majors and you can't hit at least 280
Right.
or 260 or whatever, and you're batting 190,
Yep.
you're going to get sent back down to AAA.
Yep.
So,
And here's the thing you guys both haven't brought up, like, who the heck knows what this is going to look like in 3 years?
yeah.
I mean, we have it now, like, overnight it went from 6-day tournaments with a 3-day MLS style to 4-day tournaments. They have the schedule out. The cup is gone. Now the championship is on the St. Lawrence River a week and a half after the Elite Series is there. I mean, look at how quickly all this stuff is changing. Who knows what this structure or format is going to look like 2 years from now?
And I agree with Matt.
Is it going to be a 200-person field? Is it going to be a 50-person field? Is there still going to be an entry fee at the FLW level? I would assume if the BPT takes off the way that you hear these guys saying how popular it is and how many people are watching it, and then the FLW pro circuit, you start having some new blood into that. Oh, there's a goat on a table right here. That's very interesting. Who knows? I mean, who knows what this thing's going to look like in 3 or 4 years from now? So, you're assuming you're going to have to come up with that $50,000. Maybe there won't be entry fees on the FLW tour either.
Yeah. Maybe. All right, man. Interesting times. Well, tell the girlfriend good luck on the race today, this afternoon. Hopefully she wins a ton of money.
There's seriously a goat just standing on the table staring at me.
But you have a new friend, all right?
Yep.
You have a new friend. Anything else, Matthew? You good to go?
No, I'm good to go. That's it.
All right, Bubba.
All right, man. We'll talk to you later.
See you, Matt.
All right.
All right, see you. All right. Bad situation to be in, though. If there's an 80-person field, obviously, and you're sitting in 71st, 72nd,
Yeah.
going in there, oh, my gosh, I haven't been paying entry fees for the last 3 years. Now, all of a sudden, I'm put into a situation where I've got to generate sponsorship to be able to pay not only for the entry fees, but also the expense or whatever stops.
Well, you would think that at that point those guys have been generating sponsorship money for the last 3 years.
But is sponsorship so much of it now based upon performance? I mean, I get it. You got guys out there that are tremendous salesmen and actually add a huge amount of value in selling product. I get that. But when you're at that level, I think the trend is shifting to where now it's more about performance.
So you think it'll be more pay performance year to year?
Yeah.
So it's going to go with guys' streaks as they get hot.
I think so.
Okay.
All right. And I think now, just taking you as an example, whatever deals you cut, and I've said this for years, and it kind of ties back to the conversation that I had with Matt yesterday, how I ended the show, about the impact of the media coverage, specifically live, has on you as an angler to be able to promote the companies that are helping you out in your career.
Live's been an incredible thing for all of us.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
the amount of exposure. Dude, you should put in your contracts, and companies should put in the contracts for the anglers, incentive-based performance, that if you do get on live based upon your performance, what a better way to showcase the products that you're representing
Absolutely.
with all the people in there.
Yeah.
That should be in every single angler's contract from this point forward.
Every single one of them.
Every single one of them.
We should all have it.
I'm trying to help you guys out, for crying out loud. I mean, I'm trying
all
to
in.
get it to the point where you make more money based
Yeah.
upon your performance.
Nothing wrong with that.
That's
Nothing
what
wrong
it
with
should
live.
be. It shouldn't be because you work 10 boat shows.
Amen, brother.
It should be because you go out and you perform.
That's right.
For crying out loud anyway. So that's just, I mean, that's like, everybody's entitled to everything. No, go out and perform. Then you're entitled. Go freaking catch him. Go knock down pins. Go score low on the golf course.
Yeah, because
then you're going to get paid.
Yeah, life's hard to get on.
It
you
is.
know that. It's a very difficult task to 170 boats or 150 boats to be in the top 5 to get one of those cameras put on you.
Yeah. All right, good stuff. A lot of people. Dave, our good friend Dave. Dave Rush, he says, a lot of people would pay big money to see that goat on the table in Las Vegas with Matthew. Yeah, you're right. All right, I'm still working on tomorrow's show, folks, but Bradley will be here in studio, still working on trying to get Randy Blockett or David Dudley on tomorrow. We will continue to get them on. Like I said, I talked to Randy at the U.S. Open. He said, just get a hold of me. Yesterday was a crazy day with it being the first day back from Las Vegas and from Waxahachie. So I had a lot of stuff that I had to get taken care of. So I will continue to try and get that show up. And really now, since the conference call, it'd be a great opportunity to get those guys on and get their take on their thoughts, and see what they think about how things are setting up for the 2020 season and beyond.
I still have a flaming sword over here in my pocket, Mark.
What's that?
You don't know what a flaming sword is?
No, what is that?
Attorneys in law school, they teach them the flaming sword. You keep it in your briefcase until the time needed, and then you hold it up and I win.
Are you going to throw it up today?
I am. The flaming sword.
Okay. Is it going to burn me?
No, you're going to love this. It's a story. So, we always come back, and I haven't been in here in a while. So this is my story. That's right. This is my story from Lake Mead, the U.S. Open this year. I've fished a long time, and I've traveled all over the country from north, south, east, and west, and I always thought someday that this potentially could happen, but it had not happened until this point. I had a firearm pulled on me while fishing at Lake Mead in practice. That's right, a gun pulled on me.
What?
That's right. You haven't heard this.
No.
It's my flaming sword. I've kept it to myself.
Okay. Continue.
I was up in Greg's Basin, which is the far northeast region of Lake Mead, and I don't even know what day of the week it was, but it was a nice sunny day. Anyway, there's at the northeast corner of it, there's a boat ramp up there, and then there's a campground, a public campground next to the boat ramp. And I went in by the little pocket that's behind the boat ramp up there, and I'm fishing down the deal, and I'm just throwing a swim bait. I've got my trolling motor on high, and the wind's blowing pretty good, and I'm cruising around, and there is a man with an RV parked right on this little narrow point.
Okay.
Don't think anything about it. I'm fishing down the side of this point now by this point with my trolling motor. He's got 4 dogs with him, and one of the dogs starts barking, which gets my attention, and I kind of look up. He's working on something. We're fishing, right? We're not paying a whole lot of attention to what the campers are doing on the bank.
Yeah.
I fish on around the point, and as I come to the other side, I hear a man's voice. And he's standing there, no shirt on, big guy, big muscle guy. Oh yeah, looked like Stone Cold Steve Austin, big, no shirt on, tattoos all over his whole body, and he has a shotgun over his shoulder, and he says, "You have 4 seconds to move on." I said,
"What the heck?
Dang man, I'm just fishing, bud." He said 4, 3.
Oh,
it's a good
my
thing
gosh.
he did. Yeah, I yanked the trolling motor, didn't even put the life jacket on, hit the big motor, and gone. I was like, glad he gave me 4 because I only needed 3.
Oh my gosh.
Swear to God, went down just like that.
And there's nobody else around
No one. So I ran about 200 yards, get out of shotgun range. And honestly, I just went back to fishing. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot but I thought about it all day.
Oh, I'm sure you did.
I can guarantee you, a man standing on the bank with a shotgun over his shoulder telling you, you got 4 seconds to move on. But, I get it a little bit just in the aspect of that is a very remote place, and you can get out there and not see people for days. But dude, he was in a public campground. You could see other campers around. Within sight. So he wasn't that off in the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
I don't know.
First time, huh?
First time I've ever had a gun pulled out on me for fishing. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
You haven't fished the Louisiana Delta, have
I have,
you?
yeah. I've been
That never
Chaffalaya
happened?
Basin and all
Really?
that. No, I never had a problem down there.
Huh? Mississippi?
I fit right in with those people, man. No problem in Louisiana, none.
Very large tattooed individuals with shotguns.
Yeah, not a good mixture.
Not a good mix. Wow, man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So even when you went back to the house, you didn't tell anybody what happened?
No, I told my guys at the house.
What'd they say? Did they? I mean, did anybody have any idea what this dude was doing, or
No, I mean none of us do. I mean, like, what the hell?
straight
dude?
out of a movie or
I
something?
just, of all the places for it to happen, I never expected it to happen out there, but it sure did. It sure did.
Huh. Interesting.
Yep.
All right, man. As always, greatly appreciate it. I know the fans love having you in studio, and with so much going on in the world of professional fishing.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, your input and your opinions and thoughts on so many things that are taking place. Extremely valued by the fans out there, and I greatly appreciate you standing in for Matthew while he is out there barrel racing. She actually made a cameo appearance on the show yesterday.
Yeah,
man.
I saw. Yeah.
That was a first for BTL.
BTL, first female on BTL. We need to step that up.
Well, I don't know about that.
I think you've had another female.
I think so.
Okay.
I can't remember, but yeah, over the years. I was trying to remember if we had Trade on it. Trade might have called in one time. Can't remember. Anyway, tomorrow, folks, stay tuned. We will have somebody hopefully lined up tomorrow, and then obviously Bradley will be in studio tomorrow. I want to thank Nick Salvucci for being on the show, and obviously Matthew, live from Vegas, giving his take on what's going down with all of the stuff on the FLW MLS side. So everybody be safe. That's going to wrap up Tuesday. We're out of here.